In the fast-paced world of business, ideas are the lifeblood of innovation. But how do you ensure those sparks of brilliance aren't lost in the noise? This week on the Honeypot Podcast, Alexander and Fredrik delve into the critical world of democratizing idea generation. They explore the challenges faced by intrepreneurs battling to be heard and reveal the secrets to building a culture where every voice matters. Discover the power of structure, the importance of prototyping, and how to unlock the hidden potential within your organization.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Honeypot Podcast. My name is Alexander Vennerberg, and I'm here, as always, with the brilliant...
The brilliant Fredrik. It's my favorite time a week, you know, when I'm being called brilliant. No, but that's nice. You're brilliant too. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
So what are we going to talk about today?
We're going to be talking about how to, how to get things through and making sure that we democratize the involvement of getting ideas through and getting the right data to make decisions for the management.
Yes, because in a lot of organizations, it's only a few people, let's call them the intrepreneurs, that is usually making their voices heard. And that's good. That's really, really good. You should not... you should cherish that. But there's so many other voices that needs to be heard. And what's happening in an organization where you kind of let loose and let the entrepreneur run wild and do their stuff, you kind of leave the others behind. And I think it's really important to make sure that everybody knows what's required to be able to get your idea through all the different stakeholders and also the different obstacles or whatever we want to call them. And also to make sure that everybody in an organization knows about the format, how it should be presented, because most of the time that's what it's all about, you know, making sure that you have all the data required, sort of.
And I think it's obviously creating insecurities as well, and not really knowing the format. And I think that's one of the main reasons behind why some organizations are so dependent on the entrepreneurs. Because they
set the format.
Yeah, exactly. And they've got personalities who are not really as afraid of things being insecure in that sense. But I think it's so important to remind everyone as well about this situation, or the fact that just because someone is good in communicating stuff or is an extrovert, let's say, that doesn't mean that those people are the ones sitting on the best ideas or things to share. And that's a part of the thing that we wanted to discuss there as well.
Exactly, I totally agree with you, because if you have an organization where you have a few entrepreneurs that kind of sets the agenda and also kind of set the standard for how to present ideas, that's great. Once again, it's awesome that someone cares in the organization, but that also by itself, it's like it creates this environment where you can't compare that person's ideas with others either. So, and usually what's happened, we have seen it many times, is that the people who are in charge for collecting ideas or insights from the organization, they're usually fairly fed up with these people that over and over comes with suggestions on things. Whilst they should be very, very happy for them, but it's also, I don't want one other idea from that person again. But on the other hand, we also, it's very common that the person who handles this doesn't give the rest of the organization a format to contribute either.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the core reasons as well, because when we're talking about a situation where organizations or management teams are saying that we want to create entrepreneurs, or we want to like build a culture of innovation, or whatever they're usually saying in a lot of organizations out there, I think that it's fairly common to forget that creating such a culture requires a form of structure. Let's say I would say that in some, or in many situations, structure is what creates the possibilities to create a culture. Let's say,
definitely,
or the format.
Definitely. Also, a structure and a format. When we say format, it's more or less structure we're talking about. A way to structure the data, yes. and also, of course, a small aspect of how you present it as well visually. But that comes next. But it's crucial to be able to compare ideas with each other. And especially nowadays, where a lot of companies are using AI to analyze ideas. So what if you get 3 ideas in one structure, you get 2 ideas in another structure, and you get 10 ideas in another structure? That means that you can't compare them. Not even AI can compare them, because they're lacking data between the 3 different structures.
Yeah, and it will probably be biased towards the idea that has been explained in the most
of course.
Yeah, positive way or optimistic way, let's say.
But then also, to place the devil's advocate, is that let's say that you know the end result. You know that to be able to make a decision on something, you need 10 data points. And we've been talking about this before. But let's say and you have a specific structure. That's also intimidating for a lot of people, because they can't answer all these 10 different questions. So then we're back again to the entrepreneurs, who make sure that they can answer these questions. That's the difference between the entrepreneurs and a, in quotes, normal employee.
Yeah, but I think it's also, in my opinion, it also starts all the way back in being clear what you're asking for. Because it's one thing that we want to have clear data on when it comes to decision making, but I would also say that if you're going to encourage an organization, and not just entrepreneurs, to share their ideas or improvements or suggestions or solutions for the company, you need to be clear in what kind of ideas or solutions you're looking for, and that are in line with the company strategy or the company goals overall. And I think that also steers away from those insecurities that can easily appear when people are feeling that I don't really know if this idea is innovative enough, or if it comes off as stupid if I share the idea here. If you're being clear as a management team what kind of ideas or challenges or opportunities you want to solve for, that will create a way better base for creating a culture of innovation.
Absolutely. But if I can ask you a question, it's not a trick question, so you can answer whatever you want. But so let's say that we have an organization that we are curious to hear from our employees. And we have specific challenges that we need to solve, and you want to involve everyone.
Yep.
Should you create a structure where you ask for less and hold back the entrepreneurs, or should you ask for more, which will hold back the rest of the company, if you know what I mean?
I would go for the first alternative, and the reason behind it is that I think that it's way more important to have a structure for qualifying and selecting which ideas to spend more time on, rather than having a structure of what kind of information you need in order to even share an idea. That's my opinion in that case, and the reason behind it is that I often try to remind many organizations and managers about a thing that we've seen in many cases is that the best ideas are not necessarily from the people who are best in writing up business cases and things like that. But of course, it can feel like you're creating more work for yourself as a management team. But I think that as long as you are clear in the way you're writing the questions or asking for ideas or solution, and you have a model, let's say, things that we've been talking about in earlier episodes as well, like the 3 lenses of innovation with viability, feasibility, and desirability, or if you score ideas and solutions or contributions based on, like, let's say, the Eisenhower matrix or something that makes it easy for you to quickly prioritize which of these 100 ideas, which 4 should we spend more time on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. And before, I mean, we build a tool right now, Hives, which is helping out doing this this kind of work, of course. But before we started Hives, I was helping a big telecom company, no name mentioned, to do overhaul on their innovation process, and that it had like a turnaround time. It took a year to get one idea in and out, basically. And it wasn't out on the market. It was like out for making decisions.
Review,
Review, exactly. And the way it worked was that they had a specific date when they closed the yearly suggestion. I think it was, they called it suggestion box or something like that. Or the suggestion initiatives was closed as a specific date, specific time. At 12 o'clock in the evening, at midnight, that is, at a certain date. And what they saw every year was that like 5 minutes to midnight, there were like coming in ideas. Mainly from a handful of people that usually sent in ideas, the intrepreneurs. But also a few others that tried their luck, sort of. And then the week after, they reviewed it, and since the entrepreneurs, they already know, so they picked those ideas, and they picked not all, because they also had like bias who these persons were, sort of. So they picked, let's say they picked 3 out of 5, and then from the rest they didn't pick any, because those people did send in too little information, and there were no structure, basically. Also, they took these 3 people suggestions, and then they sent them like 4 documents full of data points. I mean, it was not hundreds, but almost. And said, you have 3 months to fill out this, basically. So that person needed to do all the work by himself. And then they took that and sent it for review. And then they reviewed it. It took a couple of months. So they had like 1 left. And then they sent 4 other documents with, 100 data points again. And that's how it worked. And so it took a year. And I said, at that time, I said, I can help you to get this turnaround time down to 4 hours by just collecting the stakeholders in a room for 1 hour, at 2 occasions, 1 hour to go through everything and make sure everything is in there. They never did, because they reorganized the company for the 1000th time, and new people came in and they had new ways of doing it and so on, and then it took 6 months, and then they did it again. They had notoriously of reorganization, but that's just a fact that if you create this structure, and also that you make sure that everyone in the organization can reach different competences when needed, they can collectively answer these questions, and that's the power of an organization with that has employees. But also you can adapt this if you don't have any employees. But we had an episode earlier called, Does Size Matters? And no, it doesn't, because if you have a structure like this, it actually allows you to contact other people, and they know what to expect when you are contacting them. So it's like easier to interact because they know what to expect. So the structure is super, super important.
And it's pretty obvious when you have it in front of you as well, right? Because you're thinking it could be so overwhelming, like, oh, I need all of this information or all of this data in order to have it all in front of me to make a decision on something or to proceed with something. But if you just have it in front of you and break it down and let's say that you have 12 different things that you need answers on in order to proceed with an idea or a solution or something that you're working on, and you just like boil it down to, all right, so who would be able to be knowledgeable or an expert enough to answer this question, and the next one, who should I ask to get the right information or data on these 3 fields or data points that I need as well. And usually, no matter if you are in a small organization, usually you have people around you, friends or former colleagues or partners or whatever. Yeah. And if you're in a large organization, usually you have enough people internally to help you answer those things as well.
And don't forget the clients.
And of course the clients. Never forget the clients or the customer. Yeah, definitely. But also another thing I wanted to touch upon. I think that a lot of the things when organizations or companies are talking about building a culture of innovation and making things get through the whole circle, so to speak, when it comes to new ideas and solutions, building a culture of experimenting, let's say, or experimentation as well, it might be an important part of it as well. And I'm thinking a lot about that a lot of organizations I see, at least, is they're not really adapting to the mindset of prototyping and testing things in like, let's say, small environments.
No.
Why would you say, like, what's your thoughts behind why it is like that?
Because I think it's like, first of all, it's a lot of stigma around prototyping. What is prototyping, and I think a lot of people see it as something very complex and technical, when it's actually the opposite. It's about building, facades of things, fake it till you make it, smoking mirrors, and stuff like that. So you actually, I think the biggest challenge is, what kind of data do we need? Why are we doing the prototype? Because the only reason why you do a prototype is to get data on your idea. You agree on that, right?
Definitely.
Because there's no purpose of doing a prototype if you don't get anything from it, sort of. No. And then also it's today, when a lot of things are digital, it's very easy that people put too much of effort in a prototype and almost make it like an MVP, like the most minimal viable product to put on the market. And that's also a waste of time, because you want to like fake something up so you can get the data of your idea as soon as possible. But I would say the biggest challenge of working with prototypes is one, it feels silly to fake something and maybe do drawings or cardboard or whatever you are doing. I'm not creative, I can't do this. That's a big obstacle. And the second one is like, I don't know what data I need from the prototype. Was that the answer, or do you? Yeah,
no, definitely. But I'm just thinking that, in my opinion, prototypes are that's a really great way of both testing stuff and get the right answers on what you need to adjust or change, or what works and what would not work. But it's also a pretty good way of making, let's say, pretty much like decision decks.
Absolutely. I agree with you, but then also you have to define a prototype, because to me everything that creates a structure so other people than yourself understand your idea is a prototype to me. I think a business model canvas is a prototype. It's definitely a prototype. It's not visual, but you add data to it so you can understand it and you can make decisions. If you can make a video of showing the experience of something, that's a great prototype as well. And that's why I also prefer when I'm trying to educate organizations on how to work with prototypes, I said, you have to start with something because you have to find your prototype. And I think, to me, the most effective one is the user journey.
Yeah.
Because that's it's somehow visual. You see the different steps you're doing. I mean, and you can do user journeys for everything, or user stories is also good. But and the two together is even more awesome. You write down, this is the target audience. This is Lisa, 30 years. She lives in Stockholm. She drives a car and she works, la la la. And then this is her. This is how she interacts with the product or the service. Or even better, this is what she's doing before she even heard about the product, and now she's doing this with the product, and this is what she's doing after. So you can make multiple different user stories that really helps you to describe your idea to others. That's the first one, I think. But then also, when it comes to, if you think that's a little bit too playful, some organization can think that visual things are a little bit too playful.
Has to be boring.
Yeah. But then I think, business model canvas is awesome. And you can actually delete half of the input fields on a business canvas, and still it will be very useful. I've helped a lot of organizations, or in their eyes I didn't help them, but I did, because I saved them a lot of money. But when you're turning something into a business, we're developing something, we're building something, and you do that because of what? Yeah, you want to earn money and make money, but if it costs more than you make and stuff like that, you have to get real as soon as possible.
Yep.
With at the least effort you can do it, because once again you need to do it multiple times to find the right one.
Yeah, but I think that might be one of the flaws of the word prototypes, because that's what people are expecting, fancy digital prototypes or 3D stuff, or very user interface based prototypes and so on. And I think that I think you've said it. I'm not sure if I'm using the exact right words, but pretty much that the reason why we're doing a prototype is to get an idea out of our head into a format that's understandable for other people.
Yeah.
And I think that
or
works.
if people don't get it, that's also data, because that means that you have a bad idea. So
and it tells you also that if people doesn't understand it, it might be the idea itself that is bad, but it could also be that you need help in explaining it in a way that it relates to a problem that the
definitely put it in
receiver
context and stuff like that. But I was thinking while you were talking the word prototype, and we have mentioned it before as well. Alberto Savoia, our house guide, he's talking about pretotyping. I don't think that's helping either. It's helping us. It helps us in our industry when we're talking about prototyping and say pretotyping. People understand, but also if I'm thinking about it, we're talking about visualizing your product, your idea, and that's not good either, because that directly comes into craft and creativity. So pitch is good, but then a lot of people don't know what a pitch is. Expose your idea, pressure test. I don't, it's like, but structure. I think let's start with structure. Just say that you need to find a structure to present your idea.
Yep.
And if that structure is visual, that's great. If it's not, it's like a form where you fill out stuff. That's the first step. But you have to make sure that you have everything you need in there. And if you don't, you can also easily get that perspective for someone else. And that's what we help people do with Hives. So let's say you have 10 different and you can answer 2 by yourself, and then you have to ask someone else for the rest of the rest 8 to get the input. That's fine. I mean, it's not a failure. It's a good thing. And sometimes you can answer all the 10 points yourself, but a format, a structure, that's what we need.
Definitely. So pretty much to conclude, we need a format in order to get the right answers and data on an idea, and that means that we need a format to explain the idea. And then when we can explain the idea, get the right answers and data on the idea, we need a format to present it in order to be able to get a decision on the idea.
Yes,
that's pretty much
exactly. But and in the best of worlds, we know the decision makers' format and structure, so we can make sure that we get all that. That's a rare case, I would say, unfortunately. But you can get close to it. You can get you can find a red thread, and you can make sure that you have the critical information.
Yes,
and that's a good way. And also, there's a lot of nice like canvases or templates out there, and one that I also like a lot is the IDOARRT. It's made for structuring meetings and stuff like that, or invitations to meetings and agendas. But it's a really good tool also to use for your idea, because IDOARRT stands for intention, desired outcome, agenda, roles, rules, and time. So let's say you have an idea and you are writing down the intention with ideas, the desired outcome with the idea, the agenda, I mean, how can we get there, sort of. The different roles you need to make this happen. If there's any rules that you need to consider, or laws or whatever. And then, time, how long would this take to make happen? And time is a really good data point, because that shows you, first of all, how long it will take, but also how much it costs in a way. Because if the roles says we need 10 people working on this for 6 months, that means millions of kronas. But if it's like 2 people for 1 day, that means a couple of thousands. So that's good indicators.
Definitely.
So IDOARRT.
Look it up. It's double R.
Yes.
IDOARRT.
You can have as many R's as you want.
Yeah, exactly. Depending on how much data you need.
Exactly. No, but it's a good start, and it's like it's not playful at all, but it's not boring either. So I think it's a good way to start.
It's a very practical format to be used in most organizations.
Especially for also meeting agendas. It's awesome.
Definitely.
Yeah, I really recommend it. And then, the old boring business canvas, it works. And you can do like we used to do. We have an ideation matrix, as we call it, with a few questions that we start from if the company doesn't have their own data points. So, but the tip to make sure that your ideas see the light of Earth, the face of light, is to have a structure and follow that structure, and make sure you get all the data needed.
Wonderful. Great. With that said, we're wrapping this episode up.
Yes.
And keeping it fairly short as usual. I hope you got some practical tips and conclusions to use in your daily work as well. are listening here. And feel free, as we always say, feel free to reach out if you have any questions or thoughts. We love getting in touch with anyone who are listening to this and working with these kind of things as well in your organization. So please feel free to reach out to us as well.
Yes, and I also want to address something, because we have put together a course.
Yes.
Where we teach people to work this way, basically. It's a hybrid course. It's not really hybrid. We start with an online kickoff and inspiration, and it's a full day in Stockholm, Sweden. And then we do individual follow-up for each, should we call them student? Maybe?
Definitely.
We just put it up, so we still have openings. It's a limited amount of people that at time, but we're going to do this continuously. So if you miss this one, you will be more. And it's the 5th of March.
Yes.
The first the start date.
Exactly.
So if you want to know more about, how to utilize the power perspectives, how to work, to find this structure, and learn more about the methodology called design thinking, and we cover prototyping and ideation and testing and all that. Sign up for this course. And if you are a company that you feel that we want to do this internally, we can do it at your place as well, of course. But we also have a discount for if your organization, you say one person, 79.95 Swedish kronas, and 4 persons from the same organization,
19,995.
Yes, that's a bargain. That's wonderful. Like a Christmas present.
It is. Like early Christmas present.
Yes.
Wonderful. I'm starting to get some Christmas feelings now.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Cool.
Reach out if you have any questions or thoughts. But see you next week.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Honeypot Podcast, brought to you by Hives.co. We hope you found today's insights valuable and inspiring. If you have any questions, thoughts, or ideas, we'd love to hear from you. You can easily reach us by searching for Alexander Wennerberg or Fredrik Hagemer on LinkedIn. Or feel free to drop us an email at alexander@hives.co or frederick@hives.co. And hey, if you want to learn more about how Hives.co can help you capture insights, ideas, and feedback from your team or customers to make smarter business decisions, head over to Hives.co. It's the easiest yet most powerful tool out there for driving innovation and continuous improvement. Until next time, keep innovating, and thanks for being a part of the Honeypot community.